Good morning, all. Today we are dealing with leading and controlling, that is Module 6 of POM. So, first half, the syllabus will be like leading and controlling, leading versus managing, trait approach and contingency approach leadership, dimensions of leadership, leadership behavior and styles, transaction and transformation leadership, basic control process, control as a feedback system, feed forward control, requirements for effective control, control techniques, overall controls and preventive controls, global controlling. So first we will be dealing with leading versus managing, trait approach, contingency approach to leadership. So firstly, say what is leading versus managing. So is there any difference between leading and managing? What is leadership? Leadership is just a quality of influencing people so that the objectives are attained willingly and enthusiastically. So it is not exactly same as managing. What is actually managing? Managing is the art of getting things done through people. It is a skill. So it is just organizing or managing things. Leadership is just influencing people by doing jobs enthusiastically. So leadership is just a part of management. So let's see. Leadership is the quality of influencing people so that the objectives are attained willingly and enthusiastically. It is not exactly same as management, as leadership is one of the major element of management. It is just a part of management. So what is management? Management is just managing things in possible manner, or it is an art or skill of getting the work done through and with others. So where all we can find in education institution, hospitals, sports offices and etc. So one of the major difference between leadership and management is leadership is for actually leadership works in both formal and informal groups, whereas management is only informal and organized group of people. Understand? Leadership is leadership we can find both in formal and informal groups, but management is only in organized group of people, that is only in formal structure. So we can see some of the examples like Mahatma Gandhi, Sachin Tendulkar, Saina Nehwal, etc. So let's see some of the characteristics of leadership. It's a goal-based activity, power-based activity, universality, influential process, and situational variables. So what is goal-based activity? That is, leadership generally aims at influencing people towards the accomplishment of common goals. That is, leadership tries to influence people by the people need to be influenced by the leaders. So and also it's a power based activity, that is the power of the leader's position has a definite influence on the employees. So if the leader has no power, there is no use of having a leadership quality, because he should show his authority over the subordinates. The greater the power, the greater the leader's influence on followers. Next is universality. Leadership is needed at all levels of an organization. So it is needed at all levels, whatever be top level or middle level or lower level, it is certain positions in the organization. What is influence? Next is influential process. Leadership involves the process of inducing individuals or groups to pursue organization goals and objectives. And last is situational variables. Leadership is exercised at a given point of time under a specific set of circumstances. Situations happen. So the leadership quality may change upon the situation. What situation we doesn't know, if the situation is favorable or unfavorable to our environment. If it is favorable or unfavorable, it should match with the leader's quality. I hope you understand the characteristics of leadership. Next, let's see the definition of management. So what does the term management means? Man plus age plus men plus T, and T stands for technique. That is, management refers to a technique used by a man for dealing and managing persons. That is, technique used by man for dealing and managing persons of different age group. That is called that age, for achieving a common objective. That is a simple definition. Man plus age plus men plus technique. Let's see the topic, that is key differences, that is mainly asked in universities. Key differences between your leadership and management. So first point is, leadership is a virtue of leading people through encouraging them. Management is a process of managing the activities of the organization. Hope you understood. That is, leadership is just leading people by influencing on them, but management is just a process. It is just managing the activities. Then leadership requires trust of followers on its leader, unlike management, which needs control of manager over its subordinates. That is, leadership needs trust and management needs control over the subordinates. And leadership is a skill of influencing others, while management is a quality of ruling. Management means ruling, just authoritative power they are showing, but leadership will try to influence the followers. Leadership demands foresightedness of leader. So what do you mean by foresightedness? Foresightedness means foreseeing the outcomes in the future. So the leader will be aware what is going to happen in the future. That is foresightedness of leader. But management has a short range vision. It is just for maybe 2 or 3 or 5 years. The management may be ruling. Maybe and after sometimes it will change. And in leadership, principles and guidelines are established, whereas in case of management, policies and procedures are implemented. So in leadership, the guidelines we should follow a set of guidelines implemented. That is leadership. And whereas in management, they are just the procedures, the techniques which we are implementing need to be established. That is, the techniques we are using in that process, that is going to be implemented. Then leadership is proactive, and conversely management is reactive in nature. And what is proactive? Proactive means creating or controlling a situation rather than just responding to it after it has happened. So before something happens, we should respond it. Before happening itself, we should correct it, or we should respond it. That is leadership. And that is, leadership is proactive. And what about management is reactive? What is reactive means? To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? Same as that. After the process has happened, only reaction happens. After the action happens, the reaction will be happening. So in the leadership process, controlling takes place before the process has happened. Leadership brings change. On the other hand, management brings stability. So thus we can conclude that leadership and management are inseparable in nature. If there is management, there is leadership. In fact, the qualities of a manager require leadership skills to inspire his subordinate. In an organization, you can see both management and leadership. There is a manager in a department and a number of leaders who work with their teams in assisting the organization in accomplishing their goals. Many times, managers play the role of a leader too at the demand of the organization. So they both go side by side as a complement to each other, just like it is just like two sides of a coin. Both has to go together. The leader has to perform like a manager, and the manager has to perform like a leader for the growth and survival of the organization. Next, we are moving on with the theories, that is two theories which are implemented by the management, that is the trait theory and the contingency theory. So let's see what is trait theory. So trait theory is just an approach to study of human personality. Trait theory are primarily interested in the measurement of traits. So what are traits? Traits are just habitual patterns of behavior, thought and emotion. That is, it is inbuilt. It is already inbuilt in every person by birth itself. That qualities we have in us, that are called traits. Understand? By birth itself, we have some qualities in us, and that qualities are called traits. So trait theory of leadership differentiates leaders from non-leaders by focusing on personal qualities and characteristics. Trait theory of leadership sort personality, social, physical and intellectual traits. Trait theory assumes that leaders are born. Understand? By birth itself, he is born to be a leader. And there is another name for it. It is also called great man theory, and another name is dispositional theory. Trait theory are also called as great man theory and dispositional theory. So that's what we were discussing. That is great man theory. It is based on set of traits which are common to great man. Traits are classified into 5 categories. That is intelligence and scholarship, physical traits like age, height, weight, strength, etc. Then social status and experience, task orientation, personality characteristics. These are some of the traits which we are having. How we are, or task orientation means how we are going to handle a task which is given to us. Then some of the personality characteristics like ambition and energy, our desire to lead, or honesty and integrity, self-confidence, job relevant knowledge, etc. These all qualities are inbuilt in us. Of course, we can gain some qualities in us through experience and training, but still, the trait theory explains that by birth itself, these qualities, some of the qualities are inbuilt in us. Hope you understood. So, in the initial stage, it was thought these traits are inborn, that is, God gifted, and therefore leaders are born, not made. Later on, the expert revised their opinion and agreed that these qualities can also be developed through education, training, and experience. After some years, it was revised that this trait theory was revised like it can be developed in us through education, training, and experience. Trait theory is quite simple. It helps to separate leaders from followers. It is also useful in developing training programs for managers at various levels. Some of the trait leaders: Mahatma Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, Margaret Thatcher, Nelson Mandela, then Steve Jobs, Ratan Tata, Narayana Murthy of Infosys, like that. Examples. And maybe in the question paper they will ask explain trait theory and showing one of the examples. So you can show the example of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a born leader according to the trait theorist. He was a born leader along with some qualities like he had ambition and energy, and his desire to lead, his honesty and integrity, and self-confidence. That qualities are explained. His intelligence, his job relevant knowledge. Next topic is condition. You can show that example, okay? When we ask, you can show that example in trait theory showing Mahatma Gandhi's qualities. Next is contingency theory of leadership. So what is actually contingency theory? This was introduced by Fred Fielder. It is also known as situational theory of leadership. In the contingency theory, it explains that there is no one best style of leadership. See, there it explains that there is no one best style, because the leader, here it explains, the leader's style has to match with the situations, the circumstances he is going to face. He has to match his leadership style with the circumstances. A leader is effective with his or her style of leadership that fits with the situation. If his leadership style fits with the situation, then everything will be fine. And this is called Fielder's contingency model. So in this, two leadership personalities are explained, that is task oriented and relationship oriented. These two things are the main content in contingency theory, that is task oriented and relationship oriented. Fred Fielder. Fred Fielder developed a situational model of leadership which is termed as contingency theory of leadership. So after considerable painstaking research, Fielder theorized that leadership effectiveness is a matter of match between a leader's personality and the situation in which he functions. So it's actually a match between leader's personality. So what quality is inbuilt in him, and the situation, what circumstance, if the circumstance is favorable or unfavorable in which he functions, that both has to match. Then only this theory will be successful. So the contingency theory of leadership states that a leader's effectiveness is contingent upon with how his or leadership style matches to the situations. The leadership theories. That is, the leader must find out what kind of leadership style and situation he or she thrives in. The leader must find out by himself what sort of leadership style he has to implement for this particular situation. The contingency theory is concerned with the following. There is no one best style of leadership, Fielder's contingency model. A leader is effective with his or her style of leadership fits with the situation. That is Fielder's contingency model. So, for example, if I can say the situation now we are facing is COVID-19. At this particular situation, the government has to decide something. He has to take action, right? So I think but this particular situation he introduced lockdown. So I think this will be the best method or the best matching between the leadership style and the situation. That's it. According to the situation, he has to change his leadership style. What situation is currently happening? For example, COVID-19, the situation is worse. So at this situation, there is no other best method to solve this. Sit at home. That is the best method. And of course, that was the best ideology that was introduced by the government. That's just an example. See, he distinguished two leadership personalities which are poles apart, that is task oriented leaders and human relations oriented leaders. So these are the two personalities. So some leaders are task oriented, they are only interested in doing tasks. They need to perform well in their job, in their work, only 100% performance, they are only interested in that. They are not only interested in human relations, that is needs of the people, the motivation, influencing people, that and all, they are not at all interested. They are only interested in doing their task. And another set of leaders are human relations oriented leader. What do you mean by human relations oriented? They are just interested in human relations, like needs of people, influencing people, motivating people, but they are not bothered about the task which is pending. They are not going to finish their task. They are just influencing people. That's it. So these are the two leadership personalities we can define: task and human relations. A leader's orientation is a measure of his characteristics: motivation, skills, values, and goals. So Fielder lists three variables or factors which govern the situation in which the leader functions, and these are, let's see the three situations which is going to function. That is leader member relations, task structure, position power. These are the situational variables which are going to happen. Situational variables, this we will define in next slides also. So let's see the situations, the situational variables. Let's see. First is leader-member relation. The extent to which the leader is accepted, respected, and trusted by members of his work group. See how the leader is being accepted, how the leader is being respected, how the leader is being trusted. That is by his work group, by his group members. Next is task structure. The extent to which the jobs of the members of the work group are defined, routine, and known. That is the work group, their jobs, their work to be done are well defined or not. That is task structure. Next is position power. That is the authority of the leaders over his followers or over his subordinates. That is extent of formal authority commanded by the leader, as also the rewards and penalties which he can dispense to members. That is his power of the leader. These are the three situations. How we are going to how he just generalized like this, it is going to be the result. So how now we will find out how this result was made. So the Fielder's contingency theory. Fielder's contingency theory, just like all contingency theories, states that there is no one best way to lead your team. The best way to lead your team will instead be determined by the situation. So already we discussed there is no one best way. There are two important factors in Fielder's contingency theory, that is leadership style and situational favorableness. What are the two factors? Leadership style and situational favorableness. Leadership style I already discussed. That is leadership style is actually, this is a model. It is used to determine your natural leadership style. There are two leadership styles. One was task oriented and human relations oriented. Task oriented and human relations oriented. So if I'm a leader, I just want to find out whether I am a task oriented or human relations oriented. How I'm going to find out? This is measured using an LPC scale. What is LPC? Least preferred coworker. This is a scale. Fielder developed a scale called least preferred coworker. What do you mean by least preferred coworker? Who is a coworker? The person who works with you. That he is called as a coworker. And least preferred, I'm not preferring to work with him. That is least preference I'm giving to that coworker. From with that, so I will identify my coworker. Okay, I will myself identify my coworker, and I'm going to measure his characteristics, whether I am interested to work with him or not. In that scale we will find out. So to score yourself on this scale, you have to describe the co-worker with whom you least prefer to work. Well, according to the model, the more favorably you rated the person you least prefer to work with, the more relationship oriented you are. That means the more favorable you rated the person you least prefer to work with. What do you mean by that? I favorably chosen to LPC. I favorably chosen, more favorably I chosen LPC. That means I'm not at all interested to work with him. That is favorably. Favorably means LPC scale is very high. Favorably, I'm not at all interested to work with him. That means what kind of leadership I'm having? I'm a relationship one. I am not interested to do any task. I'm more interested in relationships. That's my, so I understood my leadership style. Understand? Conversely, the less favorable you rated the person you least like working with, more task oriented you are. Less favorably, that means I am interested to work with him. That is less favorably. Less favorably means I am interested to work with the coworker. That means I am a task oriented. I like to do jobs. I like to do, if the task is given to me, I like to do it with that person. So that means I'm having which kind of leadership style? I'm a task oriented leadership style. I hope you understood. So in a nutshell, high LPC means relationship oriented leader, and low LPC means task oriented leader. Task oriented leaders tend to be good at organizing teams and projects and getting things done. And whereas relationship oriented tends to be good at building good relationships and managing conflict to get things done. Next is a situation favorableness that we already discussed. There were three: leader member, task structure, and position power. The next step is to understand the favorableness of situation you face. This is determined by how much control over the situation you have as a leader. Determining situation favorableness is done by examining the following three factors. First one, A, leader member relation. That is, if this factor measures how much your team trusts you. Greater trust increases the favorableness of situation and less trust reduces it. And what about task structure? This factor measures the tasks that need to be performed. Are they clear? If the task you are going to perform is clear or vague. A vague task means it decreases the favorableness of situation, and if the task is clear and concrete, the task increases its favorableness. And position power, as I already discussed, is determined by authority, meaning the power you have to reward or punish your subordinates. So the Fielder's contingency theory of leadership has three steps to be followed. The step one is identify your leadership style that I already discussed. That is, if you're if you're relationship oriented or task oriented, it can be measured using that LPC scale. Fill in your answers keeping in mind the one person that you least like to work with. So we can see the LPC scale. This is the LPC scale. See, it shows score 1 to 8 and negative and positive. So you should in your mind there is one co-worker, so you should identify his characteristic, if he is pleasant or unpleasant, if he is rejecting or type or accepting type. If he is more accepting type, you can mark the number as 8. If he is a tense type, you can mark the number as 2. If he is very warm type, you can mark the number as 8. Likewise, you can round all the scores. Understand? This is the LPC scale. If he is uncooperative, mark as 1. If he is cooperative, mark as 8. If he is in between, you can mark as 4. Likewise, you can, for each characteristics, you can score it. And next step is, you can now calculate your LPC score by totaling all the numbers you circled. You interpret your score as follows. If it is 73 and above, that is, you are a relationship oriented leader. If it is 54 and below, you are a task oriented leader. And if it is between 55 and 72, you are a mixture of both. And it's up to you to determine which style suits you the best. Understand? I hope it is clear. Next step is, understand your situation. Understand your situation means the three situations: the favorableness, the member relations, is the trust with your team, high or low member relations. Then, are task vague or clear? Task structure, is your authority low or high? Position and power. Here there is also a scale representing 1 to 10, with 10 representing the highest value. So high position you are having means you can mark as 10. Low position you are having means you can mark as 2. Or task structure, if it is clear cut, you can mark as 8 or 9 or 10. Or it is between, you can mark as 4. Likewise, here also you can score the situation variables. And last step is, find the right leadership style. So find the right leadership style means, now now you have you using the LPC scale, you find out your leadership style, and the situation also you find out using that scale, and you have to match these two, and that is step number 3. Now that we understood how we like to read and we understand the situation we are facing, we are in a position to determine if we have the right style for the situation we are facing. That is leader-member relation, task structure, position, power. Leader-member relation, here you can see good, poor. Task structure, high, low. High, low. Position, power, strong, weak, strong, weak. There are 8 categories, and this is how we are going to match. See, the Fielder's contingency theory of leadership. This is the, here you can see dotted lines represent task oriented and straight lines represents relationship oriented. See, the y-axis shows performance and the x-axis shows the categories. There are 1, 2, 3 up to 8 categories, and here the 3 situation variables. You can see the leader member relation, task structure, position, power. From this graph we can find out that the task oriented leaders performance is very good at favorable and during unfavorable situations. Favorable and unfavorable situations, the task oriented are found to be good. That and all that we were discussed before, that where the fielder find out this only after his studies. Concluded to this point only. Fielder concluded to this point, that we find out from this graph. Here you can see the dotted line represents good performance. That is task oriented is found to be good during the favorable and unfavorable conditions. That during categories 1, 2, 3 and 6, 7, 8. And relationship oriented, you can see during the moderate favorable condition only the performance is tried to be. Relationship oriented leaders performance is good. That is during the category 3, 4 and 5. So these were the findings. In favorable and unfavorable situations, a task oriented leader would be the most effective. Favorableness of situation is defined as situation enables a leader to exert influence over a group. Here Fielder predict that when task oriented leader faced with category 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 situation perform better. 1, 2, 3 that we discussed, that is during the favorable and unfavorable situation. And relationship oriented, however, perform better in moderately favorable situation with the category 4, 5, 6. So from the implications where no leadership style is appropriate for all situations. There is no one best way of leadership. Thus, the manager can adopt the leadership style according to the requirements of the situation. According to the situation, he can adopt the leadership style. And there is a need for matching leaders and job situations to achieve organization effectiveness. Fielder says that if we wish to increase organization and group effectiveness, we must learn not only how to train leaders more effectively, that is, there should be a match between the leaders and the situations to achieve organization effectiveness. Some of the advantages are it provides a simple rule of thumb for identifying which leader are best for which situation. Unlike many other leadership theories, it takes the situation into account in determining the effectiveness of a leader. Both LPC and situation factors are easy to measure. LPC, least preferred coworker, and situational factors are easy to measure. Some of the disadvantages are it is not flexible at all. If your leadership style doesn't match the situation, that's it, then the game is over. You are replaced. So the situation cannot be changed. Only the leadership style can be changed. If it doesn't match, you can go out. You can quit the job. That's it. Second point is LPC scale is subjective. That is, it's possible incorrectly access your own leadership style. That is subjective. Uh, it depends on your characteristics. The next point is if you happen to fall in the middle of the LPC scale, that is between 53 and 72, then in that case there is no guidance as to which kind of leader you might be. You may be task or you may be human relations, that you have to choose by yourself. There is no guidance. That is a disadvantage. Last point is your assessment of situation is subjective. This means you may incorrectly access situation. Consequently, you may incorrectly determine what kind of leader is required. Situation you identified is also subjective. If you correctly access, then no problem. If you incorrectly access situation, then everything is going to be a loss. Next topic is Blake Mountain's managerial grit. This is also just like a leadership style. There is another leadership style, that is managerial grit, and here it's a graphic portrayal of leadership styles through a managerial grid. The grid depicted two dimensions of leader behavior, that is on y-axis it shows concern for people, that is accommodating people's needs and giving them priority on y-axis, and concern for production, that is keeping tight schedules on x-axis, with each dimension ranging from 1 to 9. That you can see the 9, that is concern for people and concern for production, both are met together. So characterized by high people and high task focus, the style is based on the theory Y of McGregor and has been termed as most effective style according to Blake and Mountain. The leaders feel that empowerment, commitment, trust and respect are the key elements in creating a team atmosphere which will automatically result in high employee satisfaction and production. Both are met together. So let's see some of the advantages. The managerial or leadership grid is used to help managers analyze their own leadership styles through a technique known as grid training. This is done by administering a questionnaire that helps managers identify how they stand with respect to their concern for production. The training is aimed at basically helping leaders reach the ideal style 9-9. This training is done mainly for the leaders to reach the state of 9-9. And limitations are the model ignores the importance of internal and external limits, matter and scenario. Also, there are some more aspects of leadership that can be covered that are not. That's it, and thank you all.